Good evening. Everyone's getting seated. We'll go ahead and get started. My name is Gary Gaston. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of the Nashville Civic Design Center, and I want to welcome you all to our event tonight entitled Streetfight Round 2, a conversation with Janette Sadik and Mayor David Briley. And the Civic Design Center is a nonprofit organization. Our mission in the city is to elevate the quality of the built environment and promote public participation in the creation of a more beautiful and functional city for all. So as a part of that, obviously public participation and engagement in the community is a very key component. As an example of that, today, actually, we're hosting in Nashville the Complete Streets Conference, Intersections, Creating Culturally Complete Streets. And there were several different tours that were happening today as a part of this conference. And one of those was actively a part of the Civic Design Center's mission and work. And I would want to welcome and greet everyone who's actually traveling to Nashville to attend the Complete Streets Conference. If you're here visiting for that, would you mind raising your hand and show us who you are? Yeah. So we welcome you to Nashville. How many of you who are here, it's your first time to Nashville? Great, yes, so also welcome. I hope that you find it a very welcoming, warm, kind, friendly city. That's what we all believe and know it is. So who went to the traffic triangle today on the tour? So a few of you, great. So this is a part of our Reclaiming Public Space initiative, which is one of the major areas of focus of our work at the Civic Design Center. And as a part of that, we have a group called TURBO, which stands for Tactical Urbanism Organizers. And as a part of that, they're out working in neighborhoods, engaging with community members to envision and help realize projects in neighborhoods that are helping and impacting our public spaces. So this project actually goes back several years. It's an area in East Nashville in front of the library, and it was just a leftover shard of asphalt and right-of-way. And so we took some lessons from Janette Sadik Streetfight, and we, in conjunction with the neighborhood organizations surrounding that area, did some pop-up installations. And that now has actually led to another layer of build-out, which was installed just last week. So here are some photos from the build-out, and this was done in part by a grant from the Greater Nashville Realtors Association as a part of their national placemaking grant. So we're very thankful for this process and how it's gone from just an idea to a reality. Here's the beautiful artwork and installation. So this will be up for several months. The mural is going to be around for a while. So at the Civic Design Center, one of our very first major projects was the Plan of Nashville, and it involved community input and visioning from over 800 individual Nashvillians through a series of 50 public meetings and workshops. As a part of the Plan of Nashville, there are 10 principles which guide our development and practice in the work that we do at the Civic Design Center. I'm not going to read all these 10 principles, but I do want to focus on one specifically for tonight. Principle number 4, develop a convenient and efficient transportation infrastructure. That guides our work, everything that we're doing related to transit in Nashville. So fast forward from Plan of Nashville to 2010, we began work on a book called Moving Tennessee Forward, which focused on innovative transportation and land use planning in Nashville and the Middle Tennessee region. And as a part of this book, we studied a lot of different areas related to transportation and land use. And the whole idea of reclaiming the pikes, of healing our pikes, making them more efficient, but also better places for pedestrians, more livable, walkable, bring back jobs to the city in these areas that are in need of safer conditions. And that also began work all across the region. So we've had a lot of focus on that that's now built up from our work through what the city's doing on a larger scale throughout the region. And then the Civic Design Center is a part of the Coalition for Nashville and the transit plan. So there's posters in the back. Just be reminded, today is the last day that you can register to vote in the referendum if you're for May 1st. And if you're not registered, you can do that online up till tonight. But there's posters that have all the dates for early voting, and please take one and put it up in your workspace. We also have the Nashville People Project here tonight, if you'd raise your hands in the back. And they're doing an interactive process of getting stories out about people and their transportation stories in Nashville. So they'll be available at the end of the program, just in this area back over here, if you'd like to talk to them, and we can get a photo of you and your transit story up. So with that, 1 year ago today, or actually, I think April 6th of last year, we hosted Janette Sadik to come and talk about her book, Streetfight. And it was a slightly different venue and format, but it was an incredible talk. So we decided to call this round 2. And we're going to be featuring Janette along with Mayor David Briley, who will be having a conversation about transportation in Nashville. This was from last year. We have books available that are for purchase if you'd like to get with Janette later. And also, Seth Solomino is here as well, who's a co-author of Streetfight. Thank you, Seth, for coming. So a little bit about our speakers. We have Mayor David Briley, who is the 8th mayor of Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County. He was elected vice mayor on September the 10th, 2015, and was sworn in as mayor on March 6th, 2018. Briley was elected to serve as an at-large council member for Davidson County from 1999 until 2007, and he is the grandson of Beverly Briley, the first mayor of Metro Nashville. We also have Janette Sadik, who is one of the world's foremost authorities on transportation and urban transformation. She served as New York City's Transportation Commissioner from 2007 to 2013 under Mayor Michael Bloomberg, overseeing historic changes to the city streets, closing Broadway to cars in Times Square, building nearly 400 miles of bike lanes, and creating more than 60 plazas citywide. A founding principal with Bloomberg Associates, she works with mayors around the world to reimagine and redesign their cities. It's been a pleasure to get to know Janette over the last few times you've been to Nashville. And so we welcome you both to the stage for a conversation.
Thank you, Gary, and I am thrilled to be back in the Music City and to have this great kind of fireside chat without the fire.
That's right.
With Mayor Briley. Very, very exciting. So I'm going to start with a question. How many of you got here today by driving? Wow. And how many of you would have liked to get here another way other than driving? Okay, excellent. And how many of you biked? And how many of you walked? Wow, that's very impressive. Well, those are the kinds of questions that I think about a lot. And when I started my early education on streets, it was actually on a walk I took with my mom. I used to take walks with my mom all the time, and she would constantly tell me, you know, because I was like so busy like chatting, you know, like young people tend to do. So I always wanted to talk, and my mom would always stop, and she'd say, like, look up, look at what the people are doing. You know, see how the pieces of the street fit into what's going on. And it was this great early education. Sort of had a street view of the world before Google Maps actually was a thing. And so streets have always been in my blood, and they've always really inspired me. It's where love happens, it's where fun happens, it's where culture happens, it's where, you know, business happens. It's just an incredibly important part of the life of a city. You know, streets are what make cities great or not so great. And so streets are in my blood, and I, you know, was looking at the mayor's background. And, you know, your family lent their name to the Briley Parkway.
That's right.
So streets are clearly in your blood, right? And so I want to know, what's your transportation story? What's the life of Briley?
Well, we do get paid about $1 every time there's an accident on Briley Parkway. It's paid for college for my son in advance. That was a joke. We laughed. So I grew up in a pretty typical post-transit Nashville suburb. close to Glendale School, which was actually at the end of a streetcar line early on in the history of Nashville. But as cars became the predominant exclusive means of transportation in our city, the streetcar went away. So I lived in that area for my first 18 years, really, and I rode in a car, except when I was playing in my own neighborhood. Although I do have a vivid recollection of my dad sending me to get cigarettes for him when I was about 12. I had to walk pretty far for that. And yes, you could buy cigarettes at the age of 12 back then. I finished high school and went to Washington, D.C., to Georgetown. So I went from living in a car to not having a car for the next 15 years. I lived in Washington and in Jersey City for a little while, and San Francisco for a little bit over 8 years, and I did not own a car. I did not want a car for that entire period of time. I used transit of one sort or another, or walked for that entire period of time, including about a year in Latin America, where I traveled on public transport of some sort or another, all the way from Belize to Bolivia. So I saw both the good and the bad of public transit. When I came back to Nashville in 1997, I wanted to live in a neighborhood that was similar to the cities I'd lived in. So East Nashville was about as close as you could get in 1997. It was a neighborhood design, it was a suburb, an initial suburb, but it was designed around streetcars. In 1915, there would have been a streetcar going down virtually every main street in East Nashville. That's what we lived in at that point in time. And so it was a city that was a part of the city that was really useful and accessible to a pedestrian lifestyle. We had ignored the sidewalks for a very long time, but we were in the midst of a rejuvenation of our commitment to that. So that's where I wanted to live. I've lived in those sort of neighborhoods ever since. In 2015, when I was running for vice mayor, some of you, I know Kerry Rogers is here, and I know he remembers that part of my plan was to ride my bike in all 35 council districts. I ran out of steam. I ran out of time, so I probably made it through about 15 of those districts. But I can tell you that in that experience, in that endeavor, it's easy to start to see the disparate access to that mode of transportation in our community. As you ride in the neighborhoods that were designed around transit, it's easy to get around. It's safer. We have greenways. We have bike lanes that are already starting to pop up there. The further out you get, and the more vehicular the design of the communities, the more suburban they are, the more dangerous it is to ride your bike. The fewer options you have as a human being to get around. The further you get from the core, the more you are destined to live in your automobile. So that's my long transportation
That is
story.
a great transportation story, right? I mean, I love the biking through all the different neighborhoods. I wish more mayors and political leaders did stuff like that to understand the issues that people face. Because, it's really all about choice. And when you think about it, when it comes to streets, you really get what you build for, right? And if you build wide roads, you're going to get a lot of traffic. And you don't get what you don't invest in. And you can't really expect transit and biking and walking to just sort of spring from cracks in the pavement. You really actually have to invest. And it really underscores the kind of city that you want to be, right? I mean, we've done some work in Los Angeles and building, safer streets, great streets, more active transportation. And, we started working there. People were like, nobody's going to do that. People in Los Angeles have a love affair with their car, and they're never going to vote for anything that's about transit, and they're never going to take it. Well, guess what, We just saw the largest transit ballot referendum pass, and we're talking about a $120 billion transit referendum passed by 71% of people in Los Angeles, right? So I think there's a seismic shift underway of people saying, hey, we want some choices. And it's not anti-car. It's about having choices. And so you've got this big transit referendum on the ballot here, which is really about choices. So what's being voted on? What's really at stake on May 1st?
Well, every city has an underlying operating code that is its streets, right? It's how people interact with transit and transportation. Am I right about that?
You are right.
Okay. First sentence, right? First sentence.
Well done, sir.
I crammed over the weekend. And the underlying operating code, to me, it's sort of three things. It's three ways that it interacts: technologically, ethically, and there's a mythology, all three in our code, in our underlying operating code of our transit system here in Nashville. So the technology is, what kind of streets are we going to have? How wide are they going to be? How fast can you drive? Where are the sidewalks going to be? Then ethically, we're deciding, who has control over the streets, and that's really starting to spin out of control with autonomous vehicles. And then there's this morality story that we tell, especially in a place like Nashville, about you're independent if you're in your truck. I mean, you have to be in a pickup truck in Nashville, actually, to be independent, to be autonomous. It's weird. So Nashville has this unique moment, May 1st, to decide to change that underlying operating code, to decide that we are no longer going to be a place where only those in automobiles are important. Because we have been living that way since the 1940s, 1950s. We have designed a place where the automobile means freedom. We have designed a place where the automobile means safety. We have designed a place where the only way to be equal is to be in a car. Now, that presents us with a real problem, because we have reached a saturation point in our community where we cannot add any more cars to our street. So every day we are going to chip away at that mythology about being free in your car. May 1st, we have an opportunity to vote, to dedicate a small, consistent amount of resources to building out a transit system that will provide access, reliability, and consistency to everyone who lives in this community, regardless of their race, regardless of their age, regardless of their economic status, regardless of the neighborhood in which they live. If people will make a commitment to spend about $5 every month, $5 every month, we can build out a transit system in this community that will for once in Nashville, let us get out ahead of the curve a little bit. We have a long history in this community of building, and then saying, oh, where are the sidewalks? Oh, where's the street lights? Oh, we didn't do it right. This is an opportunity for us to build that infrastructure that will support us for the decades to come, to build out 5 light rail spurs coming out of a core, to add significant additional bus resources, going up to 20 hours a day and more frequency, 20 hours a day except on Sunday, 16 hours a day on Sunday. It will allow us to add access rides so that senior citizens and people who are disabled who can't get to a bus will have the opportunity to travel consistently in a way that's safe and convenient and cost effective for them. We're going to provide, can I keep going?
Yeah, go for it. I'm mesmerized.
Okay, right. So, and it's also going to give us the opportunity to plan walkable communities. Everyone in this city should have the option, the ability, the capacity to live in a place where they can walk to and from a transit stop, to walk to and from a grocery store, to walk to and from their neighbor's house in a safe, convenient way. Go to Nolensville Road right now. Go to the corner of Nolensville Road and Harding Place. And that is a dangerous place. We've tried to add some additional crosswalks there to protect the community that lives there. That is a place where you see the future of Nashville. It is a place full of immigrants. It is a place where economic desires and aspirations are being unleashed in a new and unprecedented way in our community, but we are not making it safe for the people who live there. This transit plan is a step towards providing safety to all of our community, no matter where you live. So it is, this is the opportunity, this is the moment for Nashville to get its head around, a plan and to commit. Amazon has this great, they have 14 principles, Amazon does. I don't like all of them, but some of them are great. One of them is disagree and commit. Disagree and commit. We as a community have had the opportunity over the previous months to get together and to argue and to fight about what direction to go. We had 50,000 touches to a plan. It is supported by the best evidence, by great case studies, by everything that we know is right about building out a transit plan. And we fought about it, and we came to a conclusion. This plan is the best plan available to Nashville today. Today's the moment we've disagreed. Now we got to commit. Everybody in this place has got to come together and decide, okay, it's not my plan, it's not the plan I would have drawn, but it is a good plan. It is the plan for Nashville. Now we have to get together and commit to do something good for this city.
Woo! Woo! Wow. I believe in the transit plan. That's amazing. So one thing that we didn't talk about is you've got the equivalent of like 35,000 people moving here each, year, right?
Right.
And so we already talked about the congestion is an issue. It's like a parking lot, different times of the day. And transit really is the only way that you're going to actually be able to build more choices in for getting people around. And, it's important not only for providing choices because, people on transit also makes the whole rest of the network work better for everyone, but it's also an economic competitiveness strategy because, businesses can move anywhere, people can move anywhere, and they want to live in livable, walkable communities. And that's what we've seen. They don't want to have to own a car. The next generation has said quite clearly, I'd like to really not have to own a car, and you're seeing licenses, from 18 to 25-year-olds go way down, et cetera. So there's another piece that I think we haven't really touched on enough, and that's the affordability question. Making sure that Nashville continues to be affordable for the people who live, work, and play here. And if there's one thing that people should take away tonight from what this plan will do, is it will make a more affordable city, because when you invest in transit, you invest in affordability. And you are not going to make this an affordable city by building more and more single-family detached houses out in the suburb where you have to just drive there, and that's the only way to get around. And you already have middle-income folks here paying over half their income just on transportation and housing costs alone. And owning, operating, fueling a car is $12,000 a year. So that's $12,000 that can go for school, that can go for mortgages, that can go for a lot of other purposes. So this is a really big deal. And so I want to ask you, how do you see the affordability piece of this transit program? What does that mean for you?
Well, there's a whole lot to be said about that. And before I get to the total affordability thing, I'll say that it's difficult. I think government is not always great at assessing market demands. I mean, sometimes we lag, sometimes we get out ahead when we make investments. But I can tell you definitively right now that there is a market demand for more transit-oriented development in our community. Not just from people who want to live there, but as I do economic development calls and talk to people considering moving here, it is on their list, not as an afterthought, but it is one of the principal decision-making factors that these big businesses looking to relocate from around the world look at. They look at, how are you going to move people around your community in the next decades? How are you going to do it? Because our workers don't want to be in a car all day. They want to be able to get to and from work in a consistent, reliable, inexpensive, a dependable way, and the only way to do that is with transit. Now, when it comes to affordability, there are two ways, I think, sort of to look at that. The first way is that by doing transit-oriented development districts along each one of these corridors, we're going to be able to take the tax revenues generated in each one and reinvest a significant portion of that in maintaining affordability along each one of those corridors. That is complemented by the fact that although housing costs may be slightly higher than somebody living in a more typical suburban neighborhood, transportation costs come down significantly. So the overall cost of living in each one of these districts is going to come down over time. On top of that, with this plan, we are dedicating to making sure that for those at a poverty level, they're going to get a free transit pass. People right above that are going to get a discounted pass. So we're going to find a way to push down the costs of transit for everybody, which also pushes down the overall cost. Now, another thing to know about Nashville is that we are working hard to be able to put a pin in the map in any location, draw a circle around it, and make sure that we are providing everything that a community needs there. Access to reliable transit, access to a park, access to a good quality school, health care, and grocery, all the things that are necessary for somebody to have a high quality of life in a walkable, transit, accessible neighborhood. So there are all these things that we're in the midst of doing. This is one component. The final thing I'll say about this is that it is billions of dollars that we're going to spend over the coming decades on this. And this city is committed, like it's never been before, to making sure that we provide access to disadvantaged businesses to contract on these. We're committed to doing at least 30% DBE participation in the construction. And on top of that, we're committed to making sure that all the jobs associated, not just with construction, but with long-term operation of it, are jobs that provide a living wage to make sure that the people who are running and building the system can afford to live in our town.
Woo! You did prep, didn't you?
I crammed a little bit.
Well, it's sort of exciting to see what's underway here. I mean, you take a look at Donaldson Station, right, and affordable housing through the
Right.
TOD there, Transit-Oriented Development District, and it's already, they're projecting $10 billion in affordable housing. So it's a strategy that works. It's not pie in the sky. And it's interesting, we've been sort of talking a lot about driving and how people get around, and there's this idea that you talked about that the car is freedom, right? And that it's all about the pickup, I think you said.
That's
right? It's about the pickup in the open road. And I love to drive. It's not like I don't like to drive. And I love a good road trip. But in a lot of cities, really that is all about like going from your home to the parking lot at work, which is not a really great road trip. And
No, it's not.
no. And I think that freedom, really, what we're talking about is not going anywhere in your car. It's about the ability to go anywhere even without one, right? That's really the sort of transportation independence piece that we've been talking a little bit today.
Right.
And so it's about more choices for getting around. And it shouldn't depend on your age and your ability or your income. And this kind of a plan actually helps families, lots of people get around at different times at different days, because at different times of the day, because everybody doesn't go to the same place, right? You may be a mom wanting your kid to go to school across town, but there's no bus that goes there, and your work is in another direction, so you can't drive there, or you actually share a car with your mate, and there's just not enough basically transportation to go around. And so it really relieves parents from having to sort of chauffeur their kids all around and all the rest of that. So there are all sorts of pieces of the transportation equation, and I'd like to ask you personally, what does transportation independence mean to you?
To me personally, I guess The scheduler is not here, right, so I can say this. I live about 1.25 miles from the courthouse, and I would feel more independent if I could walk to work more often. My schedule doesn't allow it enough. My wife does not drive anymore. She stopped driving about, I guess, 4 or 5 years ago. And so she's dependent on me or a bus or a rideshare to get around. And I would like her to have more options because that would mean more options for me, frankly. So, I mean, I think independence, for me very specifically, has some, I have some particular needs that are probably not unique to the most people who live in Nashville. But, I mean, I think what independence truly means for Nashville, for our city, is to find a way to sort of untether ourselves from this mythology that freedom means being in a car. I mean, it is very strong in America. This is not a Nashville thing. This is an American thing that the car companies spend millions of dollars every year reinforcing that in us. It's reinforced in country music very strongly, the sense of autonomy coming from a motor vehicle. That's why Nashville is a pretty unique place. And so to me, independence means the ability to choose not to own a second car. It means the ability to choose not to get in your car every single day. It means the ability to ride your bike to and from work or the pub, which I've done once.
Nice try.
It just means really, independence means detaching ourselves from this idea that we're more free when we're in a car. It means everyone having all of the options on the table so that they can move around in a safe and independent way.
That's great. And, you know, we saw earlier at the start of this conversation how many people here raised their hands saying that they want more choices, that they want transportation independence. I'm going to ask you to raise your hands again. How many of you want choices and transportation independence? Wow. Overwhelming support here. This was an election, I think we'd have a landslide here.
That's right.
So
I hope I win this room.
yeah, I think you won this room, and hopefully many, many more. Because I think what's at stake isn't just buying a bunch of buses and buying a bunch of rail cars, right? It's really about the future of Nashville. And when you're saying yes to transit, you're saying yes to that kind of transportation independence that you just talked about. And it's yes to your future, and yes to making sure that the growth here in Nashville doesn't leave anybody behind. You know, and May 1st is Independence Day.
That is right.
For Nashville. And this is actually the first declaration of transportation independence in the country. Because,
That's
right?
And as far as I know, as far as I know.
We've never seen it before.
I've never seen it before.
No. And
I guess we are going to sign a declaration of transportation independence here, and I'm going to put my John Hancock on that. But before, as you read it, if you can, I guess this room is full of the people who make Nashville the place it is, right? And in the past, our city has had the opportunity to stand up and express a particular direction in very unique moments. In the 60s, we decided to be a place during the civil rights era where we would find a path of nonviolence. So when our mayor was asked, is it right to have the lunch counter segregated, he definitively said no. More recently, when a fringe group in our community wanted English to be named the official language of our community, again, we stood up and said no. This is a moment, this is another moment for our city to stand up to the forces who want to eliminate government, to the forces aligned with with everyone who wants to make money off of our not changing. I mean, there's a group of people who want to make money off of our staying the way we are. So they don't have Nashville's best interests at heart. They have their own financial interests at heart. This is a moment for us to stand up and say, no, Nashville knows a good direction to go. We have researched this. We have come together. We argued. We found a plan. Now is the moment to commit to the plan, just like we're going to commit to the Declaration of Transportation Independence.
Thank you. Woo!
You ready? I'm ready. And I encourage each one of you to go to transitindependence.com and sign the declaration yourselves. Get registered to vote. You still can do it online tonight. Early voting starts April 11th, 9 days from today, and then the actual election is May 1st, not, I guess, 4 weeks from tomorrow. So please.
May 1st.
May 1st.
Future is in your hands. Vote.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information about this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.